Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Fell in Love with the Quintessential Quintuplets movie. Before we start, please go support KingCrownedClown for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken characters' gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei hyodou becomes the tutor of 5 girls who turn out to be quintuplets. You will have to make the decision of whether or not to continue with the girls of the Gremory clan. Meeting. After some events involving the sealing of the Trihexa, Issei becomes determined to win over the girls. But they don't seem to realize that Issei truly loves them. So little by little they distance themselves from Issei to continue with their duties. Issei feels sad, but that doesn't stop him from his plans. So he continues with his duties as student number 1, surpassing Sona Citri, president of the council and his rival. The day was a new day in Kuo, and Issei woke up alone. It was no longer common for you to laugh and the others to sleep with me. He took a shower, went down to breakfast and met up with the other girls whom he greeted. Issei finished breakfast quickly. Asia spoke up and said, "Ni Issei-san, would you like to go to school together? It's been a while since we've spent time together." "I'm in Asia, but a few days ago the director chose me to tutor a new student. So I'll only be tutoring full time. So today I have to go early and meet the student." "Sorry Asia, it will be another time." Saying no to the tender Asia. Careless Issei-san Tojo discouraged. "See you Asia, president." Girls and Issei left the house. "Don't you laugh. Don't you think Issei has become more and more distant? Don't worry, Akeno will be by his side for an eternity." "Okay. I am Sei." He walked normally towards school to meet the new student. In the middle of the road he saw a beautiful girl. Apparently there was a guy wanting to ask her out. She said no. The guy said, "Whether you like it or not, darling." Trying to put his hand in her blouse. "Hey, I heard it behind the boy. Didn't your mother tell you that you shouldn't raise your hand against a woman, much less do something she doesn't want to do? Get out of here, kid. Are you okay?" Issei said, looking at the girl. Edo said in tears. Issei got upset because they made a girl cry. "Okay. You see it now, go away," said the guy arrogantly. "You could close your eyes." "Do." At that, Issei grabs the boy by the neck and says, "Coward, taking advantage of someone innocent. No one will miss you if you die." And he makes dragon eyes. This one gets scared and I can forgive him. Too late. Issei opens a gap and throws the boy inside. "You can open your eyes now." So she opens them and only sees Issei. Where is he? Let's say he went to a very far away place. "Calm down, everything is fine now." And he smiles at her. "Issei hyodou? Hia. That's my name. Goodbye," and he runs off to school. "Wait," said the girl, but she had already left. "Thank you," and she continued on her way to her new academy. A little while later. "Okay guys, today we have a new student. You can come in." The door opens and a girl walks in. "Itsuki Nanako, a pleasure." Seeing the others. Issei and her exchange glances and she says. "Issei-kun. Haha." And the whole class says. They know each other. A while ago a guy tried to do something to me and Issei saved me. Because of what all the girls say. "Issei-sama has done it again, he is a gentleman," said all the reds. Well, they consider Issei as the prince of Kuo, surpassing his friend Kiba. "Well, Miss Nanako, you can choose any seat you like." "Do." He sees an empty spot behind Issei and sits there. "Hola Issei." He smiles at her and says, "Nice to meet you Nanako-san." "Do." On the other hand, the angelic trio felt jealous for some reason. A little while later in the cafeteria. Issei is walking. Hey Issei for finally seeing the angelic trio, Kaneko, Ravel and finally Rias and Akeno, calling him to sit with them. Before he sees Nanako alone, so Issei turned a blind eye and went to Nanako. "He's busy." "Hey no. Sit down." "Thank you." This one sits face to face with her. This one smiles at her just like her. It didn't take a minute to start a conversation. Rias and her group were shocked. It was the first time she wasn't with them. Which made them angry and at the same time jealous. They looked and Issei was smiling a lot with that new girl. Something that made them uneasy because they hadn't seen that smile for a long time. He put that smile on everyone. But he stopped putting that smile when they rejected Issei's feelings because they said that they saw him as a brother. Now seeing Issei with someone else makes a strange stabbing pain reach their hearts. That was the smile Issei gave them when he loved them. Elsewhere. "Where am I?" said a boy looking into outer space. He sees a huge dragon opening its mouth and then devouring him. "We are quintuplets." Issei was chatting quietly with Nanaka. Until the break ended. Issei took his and Nanako's trays and returned it. "We're going to the living room together," said Issei. "I would love it," and both of them are walking and pass near the Gremories. Seeing him smiling caused them pain. "What is this pain?" They saw Issei smiling a lot. Because it hurts me to see him with that girl, said Rias sadly. Because I want to go with him and claim him as mine. Because I feel jealous. If I didn't have feelings for Issei. Why am I like this? It hurts me to see him with another. She thought while she watched them walk away. But something is wrong, said the others. And? What's going on? They said worriedly. I'm jealous of that girl. I'm saying that. If you have everything. I'm jealous because he's with my Issei. Everyone felt the same way when they heard that, they laughed. Perhaps Issei had already forgotten them, or perhaps he wants to make them jealous by being with that girl, so that they react before it's too late. A little while later. You're leaving now, Nakano, said Issei. Do. Well, Issei, see you. Take care. And she's leaving. Issei laughs and takes out a piece of paper. This is the student's address. Let's see it's why. Hey Issei. He turns around and it was the other Gremory group. Earl, said Issei, giving them a smile. You're going home now. We could all go together, said Rias shyly. Omen. But right now I'm going to tutor the student. Apparently I didn't see him. And so they gave me his address so I could visit him and tutor him this afternoon. I see, in a sad tone. Then you'll be back for dinner. I don't think so, don't wait for me. I have to go. Bye girls, and Issei is gone. Since when does Issei look more mature, said Rias Roja. Now that I see it. Issei has grown quite a bit these past few months. Now that I see it, he's taller than me. When did he become so handsome? She said, watching him walk away. A while after Issei left. Of normal. According to the address, here it is. Wow, what a luxurious place. Seeing a big building. Wow, it seems they are a rich family. What does it matter? He was about to enter the building when he saw Itsuki Nakano entering the elevator. Nakano-san. Do you happen to live here? That a girl says. Oh yo. You're wrong, said Issei, trying to say something. But those two wouldn't let him say anything. At that, he'd better leave them there. He preferred to take the stairs quickly. About 2 minutes later. This one came to the place where the advice would be. Nakano-san. Issei-kun. What are you doing here? Well, they told me I would be a teacher. According to me, this is the building and apartment. Are you from this building? But she was in shock. You will be my teacher. Tia. I was about to say something, but the elevator doors opened. And that, listen. We saw a disgusting stalker at the entrance. And that he looks just like them. You're the stalker. I don't. At that, Nakano stands up and goes towards them and says. A few minutes later. So you will be our teacher. It's a little weird since we are classmates, said Itsuki. They are all there in that. I don't accept it, said Miku and Nino. Issei sighed and said. I won't force anyone who doesn't want to study with me. I promise to help anyone who always needs my help, Issei said calmly. So Issei took out his things and started helping the others. So Nino came up with a plan to get rid of Issei. A little while later. They want cookies, said the boy, bringing a tray full of cookies closer. Issei tried some and said. They are delicious. Seriously? I'm glad you like them. But we don't need a teacher. With a look that was scary. Here, drink some water. Ibu, be careful. Something's up, Drag. Not only that, I felt something. I don't know what it was. Okay. The others saw how Nino went to put Issei to sleep so he could go home. Issei drank the water and said. Thanks, kid. Let's keep studying. This one remained static when she saw that nothing happened to her, just like the others. But as if I put something in his drink. It was so that he was already asleep. Nino, come study. Issei said. This was reluctantly. A while later. Issei taught them several things they didn't understand. Then you hear a cell phone ringing. Issei sees that it was his and goes outside to see what it was. The girls talked. I don't want that stalker, said Miku and Nino. He's not a stalker. In fact, this morning, while I was walking to school, a guy approached me and tried to hurt me. But Issei came and saved me. If he hadn't come, I don't know what would have become of me. The others were surprised, but Nino still said. He wants to seduce you. Maybe he knows we're rich and wants to take advantage of you. I actually have money, more than you can imagine. The five turned around and it was Issei who spoke. Omen. Said child. Don't worry. Sorry, but that's all for today, said Issei as he approached his backpack to grab it and leave. See you later. What a shame, said the boy. What he said must be true. What thing? He has money. More than we can imagine. Let's find out, said Itsuki. They then searched for his address. They were surprised to see the size of his house. Wow. You can see their finances. Wait. After a few minutes. It wasn't a joke. He's richer than us. So why did he accept the job as a teacher if he was rich? You all think and see that Issei is keeping a secret, which is why I caught your interest. I am Sei. The Dama. Then he is greeted by all the girls. Welcome Issei. They all said. Do you want to eat? Do. Come sit down. At that the others sat next to him. He gets uncomfortable and says. Something's wrong, girls. No. How are your consultations? Said Asia. They were good, I think. They know who I have to advise. They all pay attention. Nakano-san. They all said. The strangest thing is that there are 5 sisters. What? And they are quintuplets. They all said surprised. First lesson. The day was a new day in Kuo. Issei started to wake up, yawned and went straight to the bathroom to take a shower. On the way he saw some members of the clan. Good morning said Issei. Issei-san senpai kun dijirin Asia arena y kaneko. They're going to take a bath said Issei. Do. Well, then I'll leave you while I go upstairs to take another bath. Wait said the 3. Something's wrong. If you want, we can all go in. They said in a sad tone. Don't worry, I'll go to the other bathroom. And Issei left. The 3 of them sighed and said. The 3rd time she rejected us and the 3 of them went into the bathroom to shower. But Issei. He went up the stairs. He knocked to see if there was anyone in the bathroom. But nothing. Issei came in, took off his shirt and walked in. And there were Rias and Akeno. Issei-kun came to take a bath. Come in, we'll wash your back, Issei-kun in a flirtatious tone. Sorry, I thought I was free. And Issei left the bathroom leaving both of them. Moo. They both said. Issei came out and said. What's wrong with you girls? You're acting weird today. And Issei went to the last bathroom. He made sure no one was there. DFFF bingo. He went in and took a bath. A while later. Issei changed and went to have breakfast. When he got down he saw everyone waiting for him. You'll have breakfast with us, Issei. Sorry, but I have to leave early. Today I'll give the girls a tour. Remember I told you yesterday they were quintuplets. So I'll have 5 times my workload. See you later. And Issei left the house. With the girls. But you doesn't think that senpai is spending too much time with those girls than with us. Don't worry Kaneko. In any case Issei is ours. I can't finish saying what I was thinking. Since it was agreed that Issei has no relationship with any of them. In any case, Issei is free to choose whoever he wants. After all. They said no to Issei from the beginning. Something goes wrong. It's nothing. But the fake smile. With Issei. This path until you reach the girl's house. He went up to the top floor. He knocked on the door. Then it opens and Issei sees Yotsuba with an apron. Pass, senpai. He quickly went to the kitchen and said. Breakfast is burned again. In a depressed tone. Issei saw smoke coming out. He left his things on the sofa and went in to see what was happening. This one saw and it was her. Nothing's wrong, he said as if nothing had happened. Are you okay? Do. Issei a little. This one suddenly went to the refrigerator and saw what he needed. He walks up to Yotsuba and says. I'll borrow this. And Issei took off the apron and then put it on. What are you going to do, senpai? Just watch while he smiles. Yotsuba was speechless. For a simple souffle. That smell was too much. Try it. And I'm going to try it. At the moment he tried it. He was speechless. Issei smiled. It's delicious. Senpai you are amazing. You would cook for me for the rest of your life. Issei laughed and said. I will do it only if you put effort into your studies. She smiled and said. Okay I will do it. At that moment, noises are heard on the stairs. Hey Yotsuba-ni. We hope you didn't burn the food again. Because if not Nino won't make cookies. Issei. Said the 4 when they saw Issei and Yotsuba serving the food. What are you doing here? Senpai came to give us a tour of the school. He arrived early. But I accidentally burned my breakfast and senpai went to the trouble of cooking for us. Right senpai? Good morning said Issei. Forward. They all sat down. Nino and Miku still saw him as the enemy so they weren't going to eat anything from him. At that Ichika, Yatsuna and Itsuki would try it and make gestures that it was delicious. Nana and Miku heard how they talked about good food. So they both decided to try a bite. As I did so. I heard them say delicious. Issei smiled and went to the kitchen to clean what he used. A little while later. You shouldn't have bothered Issei. Itsuki said. Don't worry, let's just say I did it to help Yotsuba. Since what she did burned when she opened the door. So we're even. She smiles. Senpai. Where he learned to cook. In fact, I've always cooked as a child, I took courses. I'm actually an apprentice of the Yukihira. It refers to the best chef in the world. Exactly, he gave me the title of Master Chef. They are all amazed. What else doesn't senpai know how to do? He laughs and says. Well, how about a tour of the school and then we get to know the city a bit? These happy people nod as a sign that yes. And everyone is leaving the residence. First lesson. Trust each other, that's it. My eyes could not see. Listen to the song. We begin. Rias. Because. I've been thinking about you for days and I can't understand why I was so cruel. I had no reason to deny it. Everyone pointed out how happy we looked. But my eyes couldn't see. Now I understand. I finally realize the further you are from me, the faster I take off the blindfold. And I realize how important you are to me. Because when I have you near, my heart beats 1,000 miles an hour. He tells me to hug you and kiss you. I understand that I didn't want to realize this before. Now I see how foolish I was to say no to you that time. Flashback. The war was over. There was no more concern on the part of the faction. The Chaos Brigade was history. Issei spoke with Amayu and together they planned a romantic dinner with Rias for a week. 2 weeks later. Issei dressed elegantly while waiting for Rias. 1 hour delay on Rias' part. Issei found it strange. But suddenly she arrived. Issei looked happy. He gave a signal and music played throughout the place. Issei took Rias to his place. She found it strange that Issei did that. So she thought he would tell her something. Maybe it was a surprise or something like that. After a while Issei spoke. Rias, I want to tell you something I couldn't tell you during the war. That occurs Issei. Rias I love you and I want us to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Issei said it. He was very red with embarrassment. Rias tensed up and for some reason she liked it, but she had that stupid blindfold on her eyes that still prevented her from seeing his feelings properly. Issei, I don't feel the same way as you. I'm sorry, but I only see you as my cute servant. Zerzic, who was playing the song from a distance, was impressed. His sister had just rejected him. I thought you liked me. I'm sorry Issei. I'm sorry you misinterpreted things. But I can't accept your feelings. Rias looked at him with a sad look. Issei looked up and said. I understand you're saying that. I'm sorry if I misunderstood. I won't bother you with these things anymore. Issei don't say anything else. It's my fault, I thought, forget it. He didn't say anything else and left the place. Rias was left alone. But something hurt her. Sorry Issei. Days passed and Rias tried to get closer to him, but it wasn't the same anymore. Issei also spoke with the others and it was the same as with Rias. Only he was excited. They were gestures and caresses like friends. Issei distanced himself and after being sad, he managed to overcome it. Until today. Then flashback. But why do I feel this way? It hurts to see you with those girls. I see you smiling at her, not at me. You used to smile at me. I want to go and claim you as mine. Make it clear to them that you're only mine and no one else's. I've seen that you're further away from me. Now I see it clearly. I've managed to remove the blindfold from my eyes and heart. But it's never too late to start from scratch. She ran up to him, but halfway there she saw the other girls whom he tutored. He saw Issei with that smile. He saw how Issei was nervous. That one meant one thing. He doesn't love them anymore. To be continued. Advancement. No. You can't come here and tell me you love me. Not now that I'm happy with her. Issei, I love you. I know it's selfish to say it right now. But it hurts to see you with her. I love you and I'll fight for you. Don't laugh. Don't make things more difficult. Sit down Issei said Rias with a smile. This one sat down. Suddenly a waiter arrived and took both of their orders. Issei pidió su plato favorito. The waiter leaves. Issei and Rias remain silent. For Issei, this was incredibly awkward. The last time he had this kind of dinner, it didn't turn out the way he'd imagined, as he was rejected by the girl he'd once loved. He stopped thinking when he was called by Rias. Issei. Something's wrong, Rias. I wanted to tell you that. She is interrupted by the waiter. Here's your order. A few moments later. Issei, dice. Why did you summon me here? Laughter. In a curious tone. Rias. She was like that time when Issei declared his love for her. Issei yo te amo. Issei si cuido en shock. Why are you doing this? Are you making fun of me? Issei, I love you. I lost you. I rejected you. It's unfair that I tell you this now that you're with her. In a sad tone. But I know it was stupid to reject you. Everyone told me why, if we looked happy. Don't laugh. Don't do this. I loved you and you made it clear to me that you didn't love me. All those caresses and kisses were nothing to you. Because now. Issei, I love you. I didn't want to realize it before because I had that bandage on my heart. I know we hurt you. Please give me a chance to show you how much I love you while taking Issei's hand. Don't laugh, don't make this harder. Jumping his hand. I loved you with everything. But I changed, you changed. Sorry Rias, but I have to say no. I love Itsuki. At that Rias starts to cry. Even if you say no, I will fight for you. Like you did for me. I can't do this. I'm sorry Rias. Issei lowers her face as she walks away. Rias stood there while crying. Sniff. I imagine he felt this pain that time I told him no. I deserve it. Problems of. Issei, do you still have feelings for me? Asia asked. That was the question that Asia had asked Issei, which left him speechless. Why do you ask that? Asia said Issei. It's just that I a little blushed. Ring ring ring. Oh excuse me for a moment Asia. Well. Hello, I'm Yotsuba. Hello Yotsuba. Something happened. Yotsuba said Asia. I wanted to tell you that I won't be able to go to tutoring today. Apparently I joined the basketball team and today will be practice. I'm sorry. Don't worry. But you won't get chocolate cake today. I told the others that if they did their work today, I'd make them dinner and dessert. You're cruel, senpai. Hahaha. Just kidding. Of course I'll save some for you. Good luck in practice. You're amazing, senpai. Thanks for the support. See you Yotsuba. Issei hangs up the phone. I'm sorry Asia. You asked me something. I look and there was no one in the room anymore. Okay. Or it's time and Issei left the house to go to school. Why did Issei-san say that? I didn't know Issei-san cooked. In fact, we hardly ever talked about his tastes. He always talked only about me. I never asked him what he really felt. Child. During the journey, Issei made a mental note of what kind of test would be good for the 5 sisters. For example, he could set an exam in all the subjects. That way, he'd see what they were doing poorly. A little while later. Okay girls, I've prepared an exam. At that moment Issei sees everyone running towards their rooms. Ha. They are escaping. Nino stuck his tongue out at him and ran away quickly. Issei laughed. It's been a while since he felt this kind of atmosphere. As he walks to a certain room. Talk talk talk. Forward. Miku Daiho Issei. What do you want? I came to talk about this. While showing him his test. All the history answers were correct. You surprised me while laughing. Miku makes a pouty face. Don't make fun of me. It's not that. Believe it or not, the Edo era still draws my attention. Miku is surprised. I'm sorry. That's how it is. Issei smiles and shows a paper. What's that? The list of all the books that have crossed my mind. Wow. Seriously? I haven't gotten to this one yet said Miku. That's when you realize. Let your guard down. Okay, tutor-san. I've seen it and you can go now. Issei smiles and says. I know you're stubborn and you see me as your enemy, but I really want you all to pass. Why do you do this? Pia. We all did some research and saw that you're a very wealthy guy. Why did you take this job? There's something behind all this. Issei wide eyes. I do it so I don't have to be at home and whisper. Also because it's hard to be around them. Miku was able to hear. Pia. Issei changes the subject. It's a shame. And I wanted to invite you to the new museum where they'll be exhibiting a lot of Edo-era sculptures. Miku didn't take it seriously. Not until. It's a shame, I had the last tickets available. I'd rather give them to someone. As he gets up and walks towards the door. Wait. Issei made a smile while turning around. Pure Y via Miku. Okay. I accept. You said something, I didn't hear well. You could speak louder. Moo. I voluntarily accept your advice while putting on a shy face. I hope so, Miku while smiling at her. At that Issei takes something out of his pocket. 10. Giving him 2 tickets. He. Invite someone. Issei walks to the exit. Wait. What's happening? Here. Giving him a ticket. He. It would be a waste if you didn't enjoy it. You say you also like the Edo era. So. Let's go together. In that case. I'd love to, Miku-san. Just my time. It's okay, Miku. And Issei leaves the room. As he walks along he sees that the others are still locked up. He goes down to the living room. He takes something out of his backpack and leaves it on the table next to a note. I was about to walk out the door. Until. Issei. The voice said from his ear. Rias, what's going on? We need your help. Some rogue demons are loose in the park and are starting to make a racket. I'm going there. I was going to go through the door. But I saw the balcony. There is no one to see me. While outside. He took out his dragon wings and left. What just happened? It was a dream I saw. The voice in the room said. Jealousy. He goes down to the living room. He takes something out of his backpack and leaves it on the table next to a note that read. Since everyone was busy, I prepared this for them, seeing how hard they were studying. I saw that their grades have gone up. Congratulations. I leave this and walk. I was about to walk out the door. Until. Ring ring. Hello. Issei. A voice said from his ear. Rias, something is wrong. We need your help. Some rogue demons are loose in the park and are starting to make a racket. I'm going there. I was going to go through the door. But I saw the balcony. There is no one to see me. While outside. He took out his dragon wings and jumped from there. What just happened? It was a dream I saw. The voice in the room said. With Issei. This one arrived as quickly as possible. Upon arrival I would see Akeno and Rias fighting the biggest one. Hiba and Xenovia covering the vanguard. Haneko and Gasper against some. Asia supporting her healing from afar. Irina, Ravel and Ross covering ground. Nobody noticed when I arrived. Issei continued levitating from afar. He thought of a strategy. If there are a lot of renegades, they're most likely being manipulated or following orders. Where will the leader be? Looking all around. There you are. Issei activated the night promotion and shot out at full speed. Rias noticed Issei since he had used the promotion tonight. Issei. Issei summoned Ascalon. He slashed the place where the leader was. Without warning, Issei cut off his head. He saw all the renegades. So he didn't manipulate them. Without warning, Issei disappeared from the sight of his companions and enemies. When he reappeared. He placed Ascalon back in the gauntlet. What did you just? When the sword disappeared all the demons fell before them. Issei walked up to the group and asked. They are fine. The others watched as he alone finished them all off. When he became so powerful. Every girl in DxD said this to herself. They're fine. Issei said. They all came out of their amazement and nodded. We have to get rid of them, said Rias. I'll do it. Issei carried each of them until they were together. What are you going to do? Said Rias. Just watch. Out of nowhere, a dimensional rift opened up beneath the enemy corpses. Issei, that's it, they all said in shock. Suddenly, as the portal opened, all the corpses disappeared. Issei, since when? I started training the powers of both Office and Great Red 3 months ago. I haven't mastered it yet, I can only open gaps. I still have a lot to learn, he said smiling. I'll take care of this, Rias. Issei extended his arm and it began to emanate a lot of magic. When he did that, the entire park that was half destroyed began to repair itself. That's it. Since when did he become so powerful, said Rias. It's true, it's been a while, I haven't even seen him train. I wish I was there to see it with my own eyes, she said a little downcast. Let's go home, said Issei smiling. As soon as he said that, all the girls felt a kind of tingling in their hearts. They smiled and everyone left there. Upon arriving at the house, Issei went up the stairs. Hiba and Gasper did the same. Only the girls remained in the room. They were all thinking about something, or rather, thinking about someone. The next morning. Issei woke up and saw his cell phone. A message from Miku. I don't remember giving her my number. This reads. You didn't say when it would be. I checked, and it's today. I'll wait for you at my house on the first floor so we can go. Issei smiled and left his phone on the nightstand. He stretched his muscles and went straight to the bathroom to shower. A little while later. Issei looks for a change of clothes. He walks up to the mirror and says. My hair has grown out a bit. He takes out a pair of scissors and says. The trim wouldn't hurt me, so he begins to cut his hair. A little while later. Issei goes down the stairs. He goes to the living room and sees the whole clan eating. Issei saludo. Everyone turned around and was surprised. Issei, it's you, they all said. He laughs and says yes, a little embarrassed. You cut your hair, Issei-san, said Asia. They all noticed that Issei looked well dressed. You're going somewhere, Issei, they all said. He nodded and said. Actually, I'm going to the museum with Miku today. When they heard that name, they all made a jealous face. It's a date, said Rias. No, I promised I would teach him about the Edo era. Oops, I'm late. See you later. And I quickly say Leo de la Casa. They all sighed and said. It's clearer that it's a date. Why did she cut her hair? But they all had a click. They all said as a sign of sleepiness. I think I'll sleep today. They quickly went up to the room and quietly left the house. I am Sei. He was walking and from afar he saw Miku waiting for him. When she arrived she looked at him and noticed his haircut and simply said. It suits you, giving him a smile. Issei blushed and thanked her. Obviously he returned the compliment and said. It was true what I said. Smiling only highlights your beauty. She blushed and continued on her way with him. Balo far away from there. It was true. It's a quote. "Dia, what are you doing here?" said each Gremory. "You're spying on him." They looked at each other and said. "If we better follow him." Issei, why Miku? "The cake you left last night was delicious, Issei," said Miku, thanking him. He smiles and says, "It's the least I could do. I saw everyone trying hard." She smiles and says. "It's because you have patience." They both laugh and continue on their way. Out of nowhere their hands collided. They both realized that they were almost holding hands. They did nothing else and continued on their way while blushing at what they had done. But it was obvious that they felt an attraction. A little while later. They both arrived, entered the museum and looked at everything in their path while smiling. "I am a wanted man." Issei and Miku had arrived at the museum where today only the sculptures from the Edo era will be exhibited. When Miku entered, she was excited. "How do I know?" "Simple. Her enthusiasm is obvious and I can see how happy she is." Issei smiles and approaches and asks him little questions about some statues. Since Miku is a fan of history, she answered everything correctly without omitting any details. Issei smiled just like her. "Do you want to take a break and have something to drink?" he said as she nodded. Issei went to a vending machine and bought 2 drinks. He came closer and saw Miku smiling. He approached and gave him his drink. "Thank you." They rested for 3 minutes. After a while, Miku stood up and said, "Let's continue. Issei's still a long way off." As she walked, she turned around, smiling. "Thanks for inviting me." "Quite the contrary, thank you for accepting." They both smile and continue on their way. But the Gremory group not losing sight of the brown-haired boy. They were very jealous. But no matter how hard it is for them, it's hard for them to see Issei so affectionate with someone else. Maybe it was their fault for doing that, maybe they don't have the right to do this, but it still hurts them that Issei is changing. They are happy for him and his changes. But what they want most is for them to experience those changes together and create memories together. "If only I were that girl," Rias said with her eyes lowered. The others were going to follow them, but Rias spoke up. "Why are we doing this?" They all stop and look. "Why do we do this?" The others said. "What's up, Issei, do something." They all said. "I don't mean that. But why do we do it? What motivated us?" "In any case, he's free to have a girlfriend and be happy. After all, we were the ones who said no from the beginning. Issei is free to fall in love or go out with whoever he wants. In any case, I let him go and now it hurts me. I told him no, I told him that I only saw him as a little brother. It hurts me that he doesn't call me Butchu with that affection he used to. Now they're just empty words. Now it hurts me. For what reasons do I harass him even though we are nothing? Well, he cries. We hurt him by breaking his heart and now seeing that smile gives me the feeling that he's already overcome us." She looked up and saw the others crying. "We'd better go," suggested Rias with a fake smile. Everyone complied. They just turned to look back and saw him smiling at Miku. They shed a tear and walked out the entrance. Issei, why Miku? Both were walking until they both look at a statue of a warrior and a princess. Miku saw her and smiled. "What is this Miku statue of?" She looks at him and says. "Once upon a time, a warrior met a maiden whom he was supposed to take care of. It is said that the warrior had a noble heart. It didn't take him long to conquer the maiden who was somewhat stubborn. The warrior's smile captivated the maiden. It is said that those who look at this statue and develop mutual feelings for each other will spend the rest of their lives together." She said that last bit, staring straight into Issei's eyes. They both look at each other and look back at the statue. Ambus approach and out of nowhere both. They turned around and smiled. Miku felt a strange sensation surrounding her heart and a blush came over her. Issei felt the same. Something throbbed in him. A little while later. Issei left Miku outside the building. "I had a good time with you today," said Miku smiling. "Same here, Miku." They both looked at each other. They were sorry and said. "I think I should go." They both laugh because they said it at the same time. Miku says goodbye and goes up. Issei smiles and starts walking towards his house. With Mike. Upon entering her house, she saw her other sisters. "How did it go with Senpai?" Yotsuba mentioned interrogatively. "That pervert did something to you," said Nino without looking away. "They did something wrong," Ichika said with a seductive smile. Itsuki just watched. He didn't say anything. The 4 of them waited for Miku to say everything. "We just went to the museum and he taught me history while he goes up to his room." "Just that," said Ichika. "Yes," in red tone. "Excuse me," and she left. "That pervert must have done something to him," said Nino. Ichika smiled at how Miku behaved. They all go up. But then Yotsuba says. "Senpai's cake is delicious." They all left the room and said. "Cheater, we were supposed to share." They said the 4 to the orange-haired girl who laughed. "Sorry," giving a smile. "But Senpai bakes delicious food." I know, Yotsuba said, drawing everyone's attention. Yes, we did our homework. He promised to cook for us if we did it correctly. They all attended. Now give me cake, and Yotsuba started running while being chased by her sisters for eating the last slice of cake. They all smiled at being like that. It was an accident. The day was another common and new day in Kuo. It was morning and Issei put on his sports clothes and as usual, went for 10 laps in the park. After exercising in the morning, he went to a cafeteria where he ordered a well-balanced breakfast. After a while after breakfast he went straight home. Upon entering he went upstairs to go straight to his room and change his clothes. When changing, Issei took 5 of his different notebooks from different subjects. Since the 5 twin sisters have different areas in which they are bad. After taking his notebooks, Issei left his room. When he went down he saw the members of DxD, except Kiba and Gaspar, watching a movie. Hello, greeting Issei to the others. The girls turned around and there was Issei. They saw him and greeted him in the same way, somewhat shyly. You're going out, Issei said Rias. Yes, I'll leave these notebooks with the girls I tutor so they can see what they're doing wrong. Comparing their notes with mine. Then you'll be back soon. I think so. They smiled. So if you come early, would you like to join us and watch movies with us all afternoon? They all said at the same time. Issei smiled and said yes. In that case, I'll bring some snacks. Sounds good to you? They smiled happily and said yes. Well, in that case I'll go quickly. See you later, and Issei left the house. The girls were happy. They would watch movies alongside Issei. It was definitely a good day for them. I am Issei. He was walking towards the Nakano residence. When I arrived I would see Miku. He came over and said hello. Miku, seeing him up close, remembered what had happened yesterday and just remembering. She blushed. Issei saw her red face and said. Are you okay, Miku? You look very red. Issei put his hand on his forehead and checked if he had a fever. It seems not. Miku was really red because of Issei's actions. So she tried to change the subject. You're going to be tutoring. He nodded and they both went up. During the walk there was silence for both of them until. And you had a good time with me yesterday, Miku. She raised her face. She looked at him and smiled. Yes, it was very fun yesterday. Especially the last thing we saw, she said, somewhat embarrassed. Issei smiled and said. Yes, I like the story you told. Especially that last thing you said. They both looked at each other. Until they were interrupted. The elevator reached the top floor. We arrived, said Issei, getting out of it with Miku. Miku opened the door and invited him in. Upon entering, Issei saw the remaining 4 gathered there. Hello, greetings to the sisters. When they saw him, they greeted him. Except for Nino, who just insulted him. Issei laughed at such actions of hers. Issei took out his notebooks and before saying anything. Nino said. Oh, Ichika, didn't you have something to do? It's true, and she was the first to leave. Goodbye, Issei, sorry I didn't stay by. Nino laughs maliciously. Just then Yotsuba got a call from the basketball club. Sorry, Issei, but there's practice. See you. Rio Nino again. It's so noisy. Don't you think it would be better to go to the Itsuki library? You're right. Sorry, Issei, but I want to study in silence. Issei looked at Nino and understood that she caused all of this so that no one would study. I look, and there Miku was still. You don't have something to do. She shook her head and said. I want to be here. After all, you promised me you would teach me all about history. Issei smiled. Then let's talk about the Kamakura period. They kept talking, and Nino tried to get rid of Miku so Issei would leave, but it didn't work. It seems you two get along well. Miku replied while facing her. So you like nerds? That's why you dress like that. Issei felt offended. It was true that he was the smartest in the academy. But it wasn't that bad. So he just watched as both sisters fought for reasons unknown to him. But it was still entertaining to see them like that. It reminded him of those times when girls fought over him. Suddenly he felt a pain in his heart for having remembered that. And no matter how much he tried not to think about it. He remembered when he bought roses and made a dinner to confess to Rias that same night. In which she was the same one when he told her that he loved her with or without noble titles. For him it would always be that Rias with whom he fell in love. And that it even cost him to convince the Mayu to play a song. I just thought about how those caresses and kisses were a lie. He just sighed and stopped thinking about it and continued with what he was doing. At that Issei felt a small growl in his stomach. Both sisters saw this and decided to compete to see who was better. Issei no entendio. Solo oyo de Nino. Sit down and don't talk. He watched as both sisters cooked something for him. A few minutes later. Go ahead. Said Miku shyly. Issei saw and his food looked bad. But he didn't care, after all she tried hard. Upon tasting his food. He said. It was delicious and he ate every last bit of it. Miku is my son. Nino saw that and left. Thanks, my friend. Then he went ahead and ate the child's. It was delicious. Those were his thoughts. He saw that she tried hard. Issei smiled at their efforts. At that moment Miku sees that she is dirty and says, "I'll go clean myself up, wait a few minutes please." He nodded. He took both plates and washed them. He wanted to do something for her. He remembered the twins liked dessert. So I remembered it was. Perfect. He saw that there were no ingredients. Then. Issei, at superhuman speed, left the house and made several purchases at the supermarket. A little while later. Issei had finished doing something for 5. This one took a child to his room to apologize and tell him that his food was delicious. And thank him for the gesture. Issei walked to his door. Knock knock. Who is it? It's me. I don't want to see you go, perverted. I wanted to thank you for the food, it was delicious. If that's all, goodbye. Nino, he said in a serious and friendly tone. I know you're impulsive and a little rude. But deep down I know you're someone good inside. Nino listened to every word. So I made something special for you for cooking for me. She half opened the door and saw Issei with her favorite dessert in his hand. I made it especially for you. I added a little something extra to thank you. This one turned around. Nino thanked him, but he didn't hear and continued on his way. When he got down he saw Miku. She smiled at him and said, "You're very kind." He smiled and said, "I made this for you too, and I took out of the fridge a dessert just like the kids. But different." She saw it and thanked him. Miku retired me. See you another day. Before I go have. These are my history notes. I wanted the 5 of them to specialize in their subjects by comparing my grades with theirs. But they all left and there was no time. I'll leave that for you to give to the others. Miku smiled and said yes. He smiled and left the house. He was going to head home. But he felt it wasn't the best thing to do. So he opted to take another route to avoid being around them. After thinking about what he felt earlier. It made him realize many things and he decided that moving away was the right thing to do. Issei spread his wings and left from there. Distancing. It would be best to put some distance between ourselves and the girls, said Issei as he looked out over the city from the top of a building. Until he took 2 steps into the void. Second, 27. After that, it took flight and left the place. Hyodou residence night. The girls were watching movies. At that Arena sighed and said. It seems Issei won't be coming after all. Sad tone. He must have been delayed for something, said Kaneko. Kaneko-san is right, Asia said. He said he would bring candy, that's probably why he's taking so long, said Rias. True, said Akeno Analytica. Well, in that case I asked to be by his side. They all opened their eyes in surprise. Who would be by his side? Rias said. Like my cute dear, he will be by my side. Uoria's Nisama, said Asia, pouting. And so the time passed, where they fought over who would sit next to their Issei. Elsewhere. I'm here, said an orange-haired girl. Upon entering she saw her other sisters sitting eating the dessert that Issei left them. Wow, who made it, she said, happily seeing that there was one for her made of peach. It was Issei, said Muku. Itsuki, Ichika and Yasuba were surprised. Bo-senpai is the best. I have to admit it's not that bad, said the boy, eating while in his mind he was saying it was delicious. They all finished eating their dessert. Miku took something out of the armchair. What is that, Miku, said Itsuki. Issei left me his notes on different subjects for us. Miku handed in every notebook where everything was detailed. Every subject she was really bad at. She also said she won't be coming tomorrow. Well, it's the festival and she wants us to take a break. Just promised to go over her notes, Miku finished. They all saw that they had a day off, and what better than the festival. They all finished cleaning and went up to their rooms. Miku looked at Issei's notebook and smiled. You're really good to us. At that moment an image appeared in his head. That moment, that after seeing the painting they both took. At that moment Miku stopped thinking and said. What am I thinking, while I was super blushing. 2 hours later. Issei arrived home. He was coming in. He walked over and saw the girls in the living room. He came closer and saw that they were all asleep. Issei went up to his room to get a sheet. He came down and covered everyone. He looked at them for a second, sighed, and went up to his room. I, said Rias while sleeping. This brought the sheet closer. The next day. They all woke up. Or it seems that we fell asleep. That's when they realize one thing. This is Issei's scent. It must have covered us. They want to go see Issei's room to wake him up. When they entered, they saw the bed made. But Issei wasn't there yet. Where it was. Then they come closer and sit down. I forgot how soft Issei's bed was. This is your smell, said Kaneko as she smelled her pillow. What old times. It seems like it was yesterday when we slept together, said Rias. They all thought that. That's where the door opens. Issei, they said at the same time. This one started to come in. Hello, this is a greeting. Where have you been? I did my daily routine. They didn't know that I get up early to exercise. I see, they said, relieved. They were going to change, and before leaving the room Issei said. We can talk, girls. He said, this one. Of course, said the girls. Issei got a sigh. I don't know how to say it. Asa algo Issei-san. This one sighs. I need to keep my distance from you all. They were all in shock for a moment. What? You realize things between us have been weird for the past 6 months. Ever since you guys told me, well, you know that. But that's no reason for you to walk away, Issei. You know that even if that were the case, things will never be the same again. I'm sorry, but it's very difficult for me to see you after that, and that's why I've decided that at the end of the month I'll move out of the house, Issei finished saying. The girls were in shock. Ria's nightmare was coming true. She feared that one day Issei would leave her side. I'm sorry. Issei left his room. The girls stood there as they unconsciously began to cry. Issei left his house. He was walking when he accidentally met Itsuki, who was apparently going home. Itsuki. Issei. Issei. Itsuki. Festival Part 1. Ria's nightmare was coming true. She feared that one day Issei would leave her side. I'm sorry. Issei left his room. The girls stood there as they unconsciously began to cry. Issei left his house. He was walking when he happened to meet Itsuki, who was apparently going home. Itsuki. Issei. Issei. Itsuki. Moments before with the Gremories. Rias was in a lot of pain. Her dream was starting to come true. After she and he talked, she made him promise one thing. Flashback a year ago. Whereas. Hi, but you. You will always be by my side, right? I will make it so, no matter what it is, I will be there for you, because I loved you, I appreciate it, he said with his head down, because he still couldn't tell her what he felt. But you, I call this. The work. What does it mean to you? My Ice is my cute slave whom I love very much, like my little brother whom I will always take care of. Issei looked down. I'm still that to you, he said it in his mind. Because you say so, Ice. It's nothing, he said as he left. Then flashback. I thought you would always be by my side, said Rias looking down while crying. They all felt that feeling full of bitterness and pain. They knew that soon Issei would be promoted to noble, he would stop being a dear of Rias and would begin to look for his own entourage, moving away from them, but then when they all declined about the feelings that Issei had towards them, and more than now he wants to move, it only meant that maybe they would be his last moments by their side before they graduate. Soon a feeling of anguish emerged, knowing that Issei could meet someone and that someone would take him away, and soon he would leave his side. No, I refuse to lose Issei, they each said with different words. But it was almost similar. Elsewhere. Then Issei was rejected by Rias. That's right, father, my sister and her other servants rejected your feelings. Or I didn't expect this, said a black-haired man with a lock of a different color. Good heavens, it's sad to be rejected, and even worse if it's your first love, said a blonde man with a halo on his head. She complained about not having a boyfriend, that idiot, and now she rejected a man. Her grandmother will be sad to know that she could have been with someone and on a whim she rejected him, said an albino man with one eye. It's sad, really. I witnessed how Issei-kun was rejected in a very sad way. So the Mayu proceeded to tell them how he had done everything in his power to confess his love to Rias. Flashback. I remember. Months ago. Come on, Ai-san. No loss, Issei-kun. Do it for us. This is just this once. Thanks, Nai-san. Days later. Issei dressed elegantly while waiting for Rias. I was in a place where the song was playing. I didn't want them to see me because I felt a bit embarrassed, said the Mayu. Continued, said the Mayu before the astute look that everyone gave. An hour and an hour of delay on Ria's part passed. Issei found it strange. But in a moment she arrived. Issei looked happy. He gave a signal and I started playing. Issei took Rias to his seat. After a while they finished dinner. Issei spoke. Rias, I want to tell you something I couldn't tell you during the war. That occurs, Issei. Rias, I love you and I just want to know if you want to be my girlfriend. Issei said it. He was very red with embarrassment. I had a happy smile. My brother-in-law and future little brother finally did it. But then I heard what my sister said. The others had faces that it would happen. Issei, I don't feel the same as you. I'm sorry, but I only see you as my cute servant. I was playing the song and was surprised and stopped playing. My sister had just rejected it. I thought you liked me. I'm sorry, Issei. I'm sorry you misinterpreted things. But I can't accept your feelings. Rias looked at him with a sad look. Issei looked up and said. I understand you're saying that. I'm sorry if I misunderstood. I won't bother you with these things anymore. Issei yo. Don't say anything else. It's my fault, I thought, forget it. He didn't say anything else and left the place. Rias stood there for a moment. 5 minutes passed and she was gone. I was still in shock. Those two went through a lot and they just said no. Days later Issei told me what had happened with the others. He came with me and Grafia. He cried, I felt sad seeing him like that. So I decided and sent him away for a few days with Tannen. And that's what happened with Issei and the girls. The Mayu opened his eyes and saw everyone with tears. This sounds like a tragic love story to me, Azazel said. God, poor boy. Those kids went through so much and they just said no, this is sad, said Auden. So what do we do? They were supposed to marry Issei after graduation, what do we do now? We can't marry them if there is no love, said Michael. We'll have to talk to them and tell them there won't be a wedding anymore, said Zeodicus. I was very excited to know that they were getting married, but I agree with Michael. Why get them married if there was no love? It's sad to know that Issei-kun ended up like this. While they were talking, something was happening elsewhere. Human world. It's okay, I'll go, Issei said, while Yotsuba forced him to accompany them to the festival. Miku was just thinking about how he would react when he saw her in a kimono while blushing. Nino came over and said, thank you. He smiled and said. You're welcome, you cooked for me, it was only fair to return the favor, he said smiling. Don't think that I will always cook for you because of this, be grateful, sunnier tone, while leaving with a smile. These girls made my day, said Issei. He smiled and said out loud. Who wants a cake covered in parfait? Ooh, they all said at once upon hearing. He smiled and said in his mind. This is what I needed. Festival Part 2. This was what I needed, Issei said, seeing how the sisters were smiling. Who wants parfaits with chocolate cake? Ooh, they all shouted as they watched Issei start preparing the dessert. After a while, everyone was leaving the building with a dessert, well, very little dessert, since the quintuplets loved that dessert and Yotsuba almost ate Issei's dessert. They were talking normally about how they had already arrived at the festival location. The girls went shopping and Issei was normal, he just looked around the place animatedly. A few minutes later. Issei went to sit down and looked at the sky and said in his mind, this isn't that bad, don't you believe it, Dreg? You're right, it's worth living moments like this, after all we've been fighting wars, it's time to live our lives. There's something I want to ask, Dreg said. What's happening? What will you do with the Gremory girls? As far as I understood, you were going to marry them in 8 months after you graduated. What will you do? I hadn't seen it that way. After what happened this afternoon, I need to find a new apartment. It would be better to talk to Ria's dad about the rest, although I know it would be weird to say I don't want to do it anymore. But that's not your fault, they told you they didn't love you, that they saw you more as a brother. It doesn't remind me of that, it still makes me feel bad, like they said. And what are you going to say? The truth is, what would be the point of getting married if there is no mutual love? That would be the same thing that happened with her and Razor. Before that happens, I need to do this. Find an apartment as soon as possible. Talk to them and tell them it would be best to break off our engagement. Talk to their parents. Remember that at the next meeting the Mayu holds there, he will promote you to upper class, which means. If I lose, I'll no longer be part of the Gremory family and I'll have to make my own entourage. You look overwhelmed. There are good days and sometimes not. Lift your spirits. I'll leave you now that they're calling you. We'll talk later, Dreg. Think about how you'll tell the Gremory girls about it. Don't worry, I think they'll take it well, it's not like they suddenly loved me and didn't want to leave me, it would be stupid if that happened. Imagine. The guy who was rejected by his first loves, but now out of nowhere the ones who rejected you now don't want to leave you because they love you and regret what they did. That only happens in movies. Dreg River. See you, buddy. Out of your mind. Issei Miro and Iretsuki. He looked at her and she instinctively blushed and said. What's wrong? Nothing, I just see that you look beautiful with that Itsuki hairstyle. You were able to find out who I was. Because I wouldn't recognize you, he said, smiling at her. Causing her to feel even more sorry. At that point Ichika approached Issei and told him if he wasn't going to compliment her clothes at all. By saying that it was very obvious that everyone would pay attention to what he would say, it was just curiosity, nothing more according to them. Issei looked at everyone and just let his words flow on their own. I think whatever they wear will make them look more beautiful than they already are, he said, causing everyone to puff out their brains. They are fine, they look very red. Everyone noticed it and started to distance themselves from Issei so as not to get any more uncomfortable. Ichika received a call and quickly left. I said something wrong. No, on the contrary, Issei. You said something that made everyone feel bad, Miku said, smiling. We can go now, said Nino. Where, said Issei. Nino reserved the roof of a store to see the fireworks better, said Miku. Everyone would start walking until. Wait a minute, we came to the festival and we didn't buy that. It's true, and they all start walking while only one thing is going through their minds. Issei didn't understand what they were referring to, so he decided to follow them and see what those girls would do, ignore Raiha. Elsewhere. Very well, but don't you think it would be bad for him? According to what I know, he's already a full dragon, and it would be very bad if he got that disease. Don't worry, son, I doubt it will happen. I just hope that's not the case. It would be better to keep him informed about this disease. You're right. Festival Part 3. Issei smiled as he watched his students go for their meals. They may be identical. But they have different tastes. He was deep in thought until he heard the quintuplets calling him. Apurate, Issei, or it's no longer there till it's over. Issei smiled and walked over to them. Where do we go first, said Issei. And that was the dilemma. Everyone wanted to go get their things, and in the end, everyone got separated because everyone was dispersing. Issei saw and noticed that Miku was still with him. I see that this festival is very important to you. That's because before our mother passed away, we did this all the time, and for us this day is very important. I can see why Nino looks so happy, said Issei, smiling. At that moment, she heard the fireworks were about to start. She saw how the child was being pushed by the crowd of people who were going to see the fireworks. Nino was going to fall, and before doing so Issei was quick and took her hand. Said the boy. Let's hurry or we'll be targeted. Hold on like this so you don't get too far away. She nodded and took him by the shirt. A little while later. They should be there already, said the boy, climbing the stairs of the building he rented. Soon they both went up and there was no one there. Wow, now that I think about it, only I knew where this place was. About 5 minutes later. Because I have to see this with you, said Nino. I don't know. But I think it's because we separated and you forgot to tell them where the place would be, or I'm wrong, Kid-chan, said Issei with a poker face. Ooh, sometimes you are irritating. Issei smiled and said. I'll find them soon, so call them. I'll do it, not that I'll listen to you, I was going to do that right now. Hey. Nino turned around. As Issei did so, he focused his vision. Soon he did so, and opened his eyes. He started searching and found the 4 missing ones. I already know where they are. Or where he went. Issei walked over and saw Ichika. He approached and said. Nino is waiting for us. He was going to speak if someone hadn't taken his hand. The Issei saw a man with her. Who are you and what relationship do you have with Ichika, said that strange and rare man. Issei smiled and, as revenge, he did what she always tried to do to embarrass him. He let go of that man's hand. He approached Ichika, took her hand, and said. We're friends with benefits like Meliodas and Eli. He said Ichika, blowing smoke out of embarrassment. Issei, I hear Miku's voice. He turned back and saw Miku. Here you are, he said. Let's go. This turned back and Ichika was no longer there. I'll tell you where she went. What's up, Issei, said Miku. Ichika was here a moment ago. But she's gone now. I'll look for her now, we'll soon go with Nino who's waiting for them. Wait, Issei, Daiho Miku. What's happening? My foot hurts, I was stepped on a few minutes ago, and I can't walk. Issei bowed. Dead on my back. She listened and Issei walked until he was far enough away from the people to be able to check his foot. 1 minute later. Issei left Miku sitting and checked her foot. She was a little blushing. This one happened and she got hurt pretty badly and might need bandaging. It might keep her out of school for 2 or 3 days at most. Issei made her distracted. She looked up and applied magic to her foot. Try to walk, maybe if you push yourself it won't hurt anymore, Issei lied. Okay, she said, walking. It doesn't hurt anymore. I see. In that case, go with Nino. I'll look for the others. Issei told him where the place they rented was. They were about to part ways when 2 women approached and took a survey. What is your relationship? I see there's no need to ask. They are both boyfriends. Miku and Issei are Sonarharn. We're not dating, said Miku sadly. Both women watched and said. That doesn't look like it, they saw how they were both holding hands. They both saw it and were super red. This is not what it looks like, said Miku. But one of them approached him and whispered. It doesn't seem like it, besides you feel an aura of attraction between you and him. Edo yo. Thanks for responding, and both left. Miku and Issei looked away in sadness. Miku Vio and Itsuki. Issei Mira. He saw her and said. Wait here, I'll go get her. Hi, she said. Miku smiled and remembered what that girl told her. That's not what it seems, apart from that you feel an aura of attraction in you and in him. He soon remembered that and took out steam from his head. I am Sei. This one had already found Itsuki. They were going to keep walking if Ichika hadn't pulled him and taken him away from there. Festival final part, don't tell anyone. Issei was pulled into a small alley. Ichika Daiho Issei. SHHH, she said. What's wrong? He said, a little cramped since they were in the same situation. There wasn't much room, and the way she had him cornered, he could feel every part of her body rubbing against his chest. Issei felt every part of him burning. Was it nervousness or maybe? Don't talk or he'll see us. Who are you referring to, Ichika? I said, somewhat nervous. Why did you say that before? He said, looking away. Before? This record was from a while ago. And this one blushed about it. It's just that you always make jokes on me and I saw the moment to do the same. I don't joke, she said, raising her gaze and looking me in the eyes. Chance. Issei smiled and slowly approached Ichika's face. Instinctively she did the same. But. Here you were, Ichika-san. That man said, interrupting the moment. Hey, he found me. But they saw that he continued on his way until he reached Miku. A little while later. Stop smiling fakely and start showing what you really feel. You realized. From the moment I saw you I felt it. You should start saying what you really feel. She smiles. Issei looks at her and smiles too. That's the Ichika I wanted to see, he said, patting her on the head. Don't worry and do what you have to do. We will wait for you, he said, taking steps back to start walking. Come on, Ichika-chan. There's still time. 2 hours later. Ichika arrived and saw her sisters gathered together as she lit a fire for her bonfire. She looks up and sees Issei sitting. She smiles and approaches him. Issei smiles at him and says. From what I can see, there's no need to say how it went, right? It's all thanks to my teacher. He smiles and slowly drops his face onto her shoulder. Implying that he has fallen asleep. Thanks for everything, Ice, Ichika said, putting him on her lap to make him feel more comfortable. Miku saw this and smiled. Although it made her a little jealous. But she had to admit that having Issei in their lives had changed them for the better. Thank you for everything, sensei, said Miku in her mind. Meeting room. So the day he will be promoted will be the day his marriages are cancelled. That's how it is. I was hoping that my daughter and Issei would give me grandchildren, sad Dido Zeoticus. Blues. But it's the best for everyone. Okay. Since Rias denied wanting any kind of relationship with him. I doubt she feels bad about her marriage. I take the advice well. They have changed. Issei made them see that not everything they say is true. That's how it is. In 5 days Issei will be a high-class demon. I'll pray for myself, Michael said. So see you in 5 days for the ceremony. 2. If that's all, we're leaving. See you soon. Rafia. So that's it. You think this is okay? What does it refer to? To cancel their marriages. If I introduce myself. Rias Sama has declined Issei's feelings, as has his peerage. If they followed through on marriage. It would be the same as with the Phoenix family. You're right. The marriage without love broken ties. A week had passed since the festival. During those days, Issei allowed his students a relaxed week. They were given less work to do. He knew what each one was like, so he organized a study plan for each one. So he was also absent that week, since the ascension ceremony was to take place today. On the other hand. After having expressed his intentions a week ago with the other members of the Gremory family. Things in the house were somewhat tense between Issei and the girls. Now I had to find a new house. A new nobility. Schoolwork. It was a lot to do in just 1 month and it was exhausting. Since then, Issei has avoided having any kind of friction with girls. It was strange, even for him. I thought it would be easy, but the truth is it wasn't easy at all. Pinpov. Saturday night. I used to wear suits and look so formal, but times change. Issei put on formal and casual clothes at the same time. This walk across the room. I was going to take one more step until. Ice heard her mistress's voice. Rias, but you. Today is the day, she said happily, but she had an inner sadness inside. That's right, today I'll be promoted by the Mayu and recognized by the other leaders. It's great, isn't it? That's right, you must feel good. I know, today is the last day I can call her but you. Because starting today. I'll also have to start my family, he said happily. Rias broke down a little inside upon hearing his words. Today her dreams were coming true. This saw the other members of the nobility and teammates descend. Each one saw her Issei outfit. They had to accept that over the months, Issei had become more noticeable toward women. They felt embarrassed when he praised them for their beauty and attire. Issei was going to speak but. They all hear a ring from their pocket. Issei notices and answers the call. 4th of July is here. They all cast their eyes towards this one. Blues. And. I told them that there would be exams next week. Okay. At night. I don't think I'll be able to go today. Sure. Tomorrow would be perfect. Okay. See you tomorrow. Take care and say hi to your sisters. Bye. And Issei hung up the call. Issei-kun is very popular with the girls Ryo Keno. Issei is embarrassed and says, sadly. We're just teacher and student. They were going to talk. But they had to leave now because it was getting late. Issei smiled and stood in front of everyone. Leave it to me. I'll open a portal that will take us straight to the underworld. Go ahead, he said, giving them all a free pass. A little while later. They arrived at the ceremony. Where most people were already waiting for them. Issei separated from the group and went to say hello. Issei and company were well received by everyone present. The Gremory girls watched as he walked away from them. They hated feeling that way, being sad. If he was happy, they would be too, but they didn't feel that way. They felt sadness, helplessness, pain. Above all. Anger at themselves for being so foolish and not accepting their true feelings. Over time, Issei became unattainable. On the battlefield, he stood out for his skill against his enemies. He was popular with women. Children wanted to be like him. Issei was practically the perfect man. Any woman dreams of someone like Issei. But they stepped aside and are leaving Issei on a silver platter. If he falls in love with someone, he'll leave them forever. And there was nothing they could do about that. He'll soon be promoted to the upper class. And in a few days, he'll be leaving home. These days may be his last at her side. How I regret having been so stupid, how I could have let a man like Issei leave my side. The last hour was nice. There was a good atmosphere. All kinds of entertainment for guests. Until the main event time arrived. Issei was in front of all the leaders. Mass, archangels, fallen leaders, Norse gods and Yaokais. The Mayu called him to the front. Hyodou Issei, pillar of all our alliances and war hero. Today, not only will you be promoted to high class. But all members of all demonic houses recognize you as a new demonic house. The Hyodou surname becomes a pillar of the democratic houses and we are pleased to welcome you as a high-class demon. Welcome the patriarch of your new family and demonic house. Hyodou Issei, pillar of alliances, war hero. The Mayu smiles and says, and candidate to be a dragon god. Leaving everyone present in shock. Hyodou Issei, would you do the honor? Said the Mayu. Issei pasa al frente. I am Hyodou Issei, and I was suggested to be the new candidate for the dragon god by Office and Great Red. My mentors. The girls of the Gremory clan didn't know about this. When he was chosen by them. At that moment Tannen and the leader of the dragons arrived, being followed by all the dragons that inhabit the underworld. Some were frightened by his arrival. All the dragons were meters away from Issei. Tannen and the leader talked. The dragons agree with your promotion and accept you as a candidate for dragon god, said the leader. Come on, show us what you're really like, Tannen said, leaving everyone there intrigued. As if to show who he really is, the demons murmured. Issei smiled and walked off the stage. He walked up to the dragons and said. Thank you for your acceptance. Let me show you my arduous training. This one smiles and gives a big facial leap to the sky. Everyone is confused about what he's going to do. Until. They hear a loud roar from the sky. Everyone raises their gaze upwards and sees a large dragon descend. This dragon had red touches almost all over its body and some black and white touches. Everyone is surprised that this dragon was their pillar. Their large size dwarfed them. Especially Tannen and the other dragons. You could say they were a quarter of Great Red's original size. When they reach maturity, they may equal or surpass the dragon gods. All the dragons stared at him in awe. His aura was so intimidating, worthy of a god. Issei looks at them and blushes. At that moment, all the dragons bow before him. Issei smiles and says. Raise your heads. So I am satisfied with your acceptance. At that Issei begins to shrink to his human size. People began to praise their war hero. The leaders smiled that this was well received by all races. Ajuka called the Mayu. Hi, said this one, approaching this one. Rias and company are saddened by what is about to happen. Hyodou Issei, I'm pleased to know you've surpassed yourself and are now someone important. Perhaps the title of high class isn't quite the equivalent of being a candidate for dragon god. Quite the opposite. I'm glad to know that they accept me just the way I am. He smiles and approaches. He easily extracts the evil pieces from inside. Issei smiles. He asks if he can give them to his former mistress. He accepts and gives them to him. Issei walks and positions himself near Rias. He smiles and bows. Thank you for everything, Rias Gremory. You gave me a second chance at life and made me part of your family. You treated me well all this time. I can't tell you how grateful I am for everything we've been through together. Thank you so much for saving me. Rias started to cry. Some might think they were heartwarming tears, but it was quite the opposite. She was crying because every word hurt her deep inside her heart. She was so close to leaving his life. Issei takes her hand and gives her his 8 pawn pieces. Everyone is surprised to see that they were 8 mutated pieces. Surely it was Issei who made them get to that point. Rias takes them and tries to speak, but she couldn't because no words came out of her. Issei smiles and says, "From now on, I'll go my own way." And Issei turns around and walks away. The night continued and people celebrated their ascension of hyodou Issei. The leaders were seated, watching everything with a smile. Ria's parents noticed the looks their daughter and her nobility had. Maybe it was because she was sad that someone from her nobility followed her path and that moved her in a certain way. Issei received his noble title along with his game pieces. He smiled with happiness. He was congratulated by all the noble houses and his friends. A little while later, Issei and the Rias nobility were called for the end of the party. An hour later. The reason they are here is because the Council of Demons, Fallen, us Guardians and Angels, has decided to annul the engagement of Rias Gremory, Asia Argento, Xenovia IV, Kaneko Taoju, Ravel Phoenix, Akeno Himejima, Rossweisse and Arena Shudu, with the young hyodou Issei, said the Mauzurzic. What did those presents say? We understand that a few months ago you said you didn't love hyodou Issei. So we talked it over and decided to annul these marriages. There would be no point in a marriage if there was no love, said Angel Michael. Do you agree with this young hyodou Issei? Hi, he said calmly. The girls didn't believe it. Very well, those present here are free to find their partner. The council agreed not to get involved in these matters any further. Issei thanked and argued. Thank you for everything, leaders. I will work hard to be worthy of this promotion, and Issei left the place. The girls were devastated inside. It was officially his nightmare. Hyodou Issei was gone from their lives from now on. Rias Gremory. Issei told me I was beautiful, each one said with their different ways of thinking. It was almost time to go to the celebration party. Issei looks good. Formal and informal at the same time. They smiled to see him happy. Although on the other hand it is sad to know that it is the last night that Issei is part of his family. If it's the end, at least we'll keep seeing each other or. Let's go, girls. They put aside their thoughts and entered the portal that had just been made to take them to the underworld. We had arrived at the party. As we could see. The gazes were fixed on Issei. We never really noticed, but it was abundantly clear that Issei was popular. It was obvious that the heiresses were pouring out their thoughts on him. Although we got angry or rather jealous. At that moment we noticed that Issei had walked away from us and gone with his acquaintances. In fact, we wanted to spend this day with him. But it wasn't going the way we thought it would. During the party we saw him walk away many times. We'd like to get closer, but at this point, Issei was unreachable. Paso unredo y vemos como Issei subía con Ani Sama a recibir Issei com honors. It seemed like a fairy tale. Where the knight is rewarded by the king. I was talking Ani Sama. Now it's official. Issei was a pillar of the demon world. I present to you the candidate for Dragon God. Hyodou Issei. When he said that, I was shocked. When Issei became a candidate and even more so. The two gods proposed him. How was that possible? When did this happen? But it quickly clicked. Perhaps it was at that moment when Issei declared his love for me and I foolishly said no. Perhaps it was those days when he left. I'm sorry I couldn't be by your side. I once promised you I'd be there when you needed me most. Wow. Silly promises I made and never kept. How silly of me. It was magnificent. Issei was completely transformed into a dragon. How far you came without us supporting you. Ajuka-sama approached you and extracted my pieces from you. When he did that, something inside me darkened. You asked for the evil pieces. You wanted to give them to me. I looked at you and listened intently to every word you said. I carefully. Thank you for everything, Rias Gremory. You gave me a second chance at life and made me part of your family. You treated me well all this time. I can't tell you how grateful I am for everything we've been through together. Thank you so much for saving me. Your words meant everything to me. I'm crying. Everyone thinks it's because you touched me. But no. I cry because it's official. I cried because you're no longer mine. No. You stopped being mine when I said I didn't love you. The party passed peacefully. You were having fun. We, on the other hand, walked away from the party. No one had the courage to say anything. We just stared at the artificial sky here. We returned to the party because we were called by our families. When I heard his words, I couldn't believe it. You're no longer mine and now you're free to find someone to love. At that moment, something happened and an immense pain took hold of my heart. When you said you agreed. I felt a stab. You won't be living with us anymore. The academy ends in a few months. You're no longer my laborer and a member of my family, and now. You're no longer my fiancé. Nothing binds you to me anymore. I feel like everything I wanted most in this world is going away. A tear fell to the ground. My gaze was lowered and you walked out that door. I touched my chest. This feeling hurt so much. I should never have said that. I feel like everything I do for you to get you back would be in vain. I noticed days, weeks ago the way you looked at those girls. That smile and that attention you give them. It goes beyond what a teacher gives to his student. You've probably realized it, or maybe you haven't yet. But you give them that smile you gave me back in the day. When you used to love me. Maybe you found someone to love. I love you, Issei, and I would give my life to turn back time and say that I loved you too. Perspective. I was very sad for having been rejected by them. The Mayu suggested something to me that will clear my mind and heart. So Taninoji-san came for me and took me away from here. A few days passed. Tanin saw my mood and just said a few things that made me think differently. If you are not capable of that, you will remain in the depths of your childhood. If you don't face the fact that they don't love you the way you want them to, you'll be like this for the rest of your life. Until one day you will say. Because I thought those things and didn't move forward with my life. There are many of us here who have been through this. If you are not capable enough, you will continue like this for the rest of your life. Maybe you're thinking about it too much now. You just have to let it pass, and tomorrow will be another day. End of memory. When I finally got to where I am. I didn't need anyone to be there for me or anything. Everything I've done has been for me. I don't need any special motivation. Not anymore. I smiled. Many people came to see him promoted. I enjoyed seeing the faces of some when they saw me in my dragon form. I achieved all this thanks to my two teachers. When I finally stopped being a member of the Gremory family. A lot of things came to light. I no longer felt pressured. In fact, now I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I know that at some point I will have to seek my nobility. But it's still too early. I'd better wait. I shouldn't rush things. When night fell and I was called by the leaders. I was surprised. I thought something bad had happened. I followed Grafia. I noticed that Rias and company were going to the same place I'd been summoned to. Something must have happened to require our presence. Minutes later. The reason they are here is because the Council of Demons, Fallen, us Guardians and Angels, has decided to annul the engagement of Rias Gremory, Asia Argento, Xenovia IV, Kaneko Taoju, Ravel Phoenix, Akeno Himejima, Rossweisse and Arena Shidu, with the young hyodou Issei, said the Mayu Zurzich. When I heard that, I was overwhelmed. I didn't remember that I had been engaged to them. We understand that a few months ago you said you didn't love hyodou Issei. So we talked it over and decided to annul these marriages. There would be no point in a marriage if there was no love, said Angel Michael. Do you agree with this young hyodou Issei? Issei's thoughts. Michael was right. Why get married, knowing they don't have feelings for me? It would be the same as with Razor. Why tie them down to something I know won't work? They would be cage birds and I would be the one who caged them, the jailer. Why do that and make them hate me for the rest of their lives? This marriage wouldn't make sense if there wasn't mutual love. Even if I still felt it. Many images or rather memories come to my mind of all of them together. When I think about that. I imagine what our life could have been like if there had been love. I still couldn't imagine what I would look like when I grew up, but I would have given my soul to have that opportunity to grow old by his side. What's the point of thinking? I know the answer to what they feel for me, and I know that's not love. I said without hesitation. Very well, those present here are free to find their partner. The council has agreed not to involve themselves further in these matters. Rias and company, you are free to find your partner. Or as Archangel Michael says. Find your soulmate. Well, Issei, everyone here, we hope to see you from now on. Even though I would have liked you to be part of my family. Feel free to search for your ideal partner. I smiled and thanked her for making this decision. I knew the girls would be okay with this. Thanks Lucifer-sama, I feel sorry for that last thing you said. I thanked him and left the room. You know, mate. What's happening? Now that the ties you wanted to cut with that Gremory girl and her family have been broken. What are you up to? I smiled and said. Now that nothing ties me down to them. I'll have to find a new house and the rest will come in time. I'm already a bit sleepy. I'd better go home. Tomorrow, when I regain my energy, I'll start looking for my own home. You're right. It made me sleepy too. Good luck, friend. One day later. Issei walks in search of a place to live. Goodbye my first love. It was afternoon, we were laughing and the girls had left the house. The reason is given a few days ago. Flashback. Issei was walking through the city. There were good places to go, but after searching so hard, he wasn't entirely satisfied. Until Issei seen Contro con Miku. After a long conversation about why I was away from home. She smiled and joined in their search for a new home. I had spent the afternoon with him. And to tell the truth, time flew by. She liked being with him. Everyone around her would think they were a couple, but no. Miku heard it and just blushed. Since that comment from the girl at the festival, it made her think and wonder if Issei also feels what she's been feeling since she met him. Was it mutual or was she just wishful thinking? I smile and despite seeing if it was true or not. Right now, he doesn't want to know if it's true or not. He just doesn't want them to change. Later on. Both were located in a park. You know, I had forgotten. But a neighbor in our building is moving out. I heard from the neighbors that he plans to sell his house. I didn't think he would accept, but he all day long here and there. Why didn't you mention it before? I thought that would be the last place you'd want to go, said Miku. But you're joking. Great place. School nearby, and most of all, we would spend more time, said Issei. But then he blushed at the last thing. Edo yo no. Miku was blushing. Maybe it's mutual, she thought happily. Do you want to go with me? Issei see Miku stood up and gave him her hand to get up. Issei smiles and takes her hand. But instead of letting go, I just hold on tight. They both looked at each other and blushed. But they still didn't stop letting go of each other's hands. They held each other firmly and went away. After the arrangements, Issei bought the apartment. Since it was next to the quintuplets. Which to his surprise and according to. He disliked him as a child, but in the end he smiled. But why would they have someone nearby to cook for them every time they do their homework well? Rias went out with everyone. Well, the day before, he went up to talk to Issei, but he saw him talking on his cell phone. Yes, mom. It's just a few things I'll pack. Don't worry, my new house is right on the way to school, so I won't have any problems being late. No, I haven't told them anything yet. Luz. I know the move is tomorrow. Relax. This is my last night in the house. Yes, I love you too. You're going to leave tomorrow, said Rias. Issei was surprised by her presence. So he let her in and had a chat. Some time later. If it's up to us, I swear we'll give you your space. But don't go, Rias said sadly. It's nothing like that, you laugh. You know very well why I'm doing this, and I know you'll say that everything was fine between us, but no. You more than anyone know that nothing has been the same for a long time. But please just listen. If I decided to move, it's because I'm an adult now and I have to leave the nest. Besides, this will be my last year at the academy. I haven't mentioned it to anyone, but after I finish the academy, I'll apply to a university in Tokyo. Which means I'll be leaving here. What, said Rias disconsolately. I discovered what I want to study. I'm applying for 2 degrees. I've made some arrangements and want to dedicate myself to some things. That will be important in the future. That's why I'm setting my sights now, not when it's too late. After all, I'll also seek my nobility and later assume my new role as a dragon god. That's a long time, it means that. We may not see each other for years or more. Why do you move so far away? Rias, there are some things that can't be returned to the past. It's best not to think about it anymore and move forward. And if I can't. If I overcame a huge heartbreak for my first love, you can. First love, she said, surprised. Yes, you and the girls, even though it sounds strange, were my first love and I won't give up. If I can move forward, you can too. Who knows, maybe when we'll see each other again. We'll be with our own families. Just moving forward to the future. Then flashback. Rias and company watched from a distance as the move was already underway. And with that in mind, their hearts were saddened to see their great love leave their lives forever. What they feared so much came true. What if I can't? That's exactly what I feel for him right now. He's gone and despite what I did months ago, I still regret what happened. It's fair for me or for him to have discovered these feelings just now and for which I have to keep them secret. Once you told me that you loved me for who I was and that you didn't see me as a Gremory but as a Rias, I always thought that men looked for me for my body or my status. But you came along. You said you loved me, even after that I knew everything you had to do to be able to tell me 2 words that my foolish heart ignored. I love you. You said I was your first love, it's silly of me to love you in secret. I had a nightmare, which finally came true a few hours ago. And even though I want my soulmate to be with anyone, I'd just be lying. I can no longer, or have the right to, tell you anything. Given your position, you're beyond my reach at this time. You once told me something, and now that I think about it better, it was that time we talked where you said you loved me for being me, and not for being a Gremory. You spoke and you were going to say something, but now I remember that you were going to say it, but I ruined the moment when I said you were a good friend. Judging by your words, I think you were going to say that you love me. But it would have been useless because maybe it would have been the same as at that moment. When you said you loved me and I said I only saw you as part of my family. Oh. At night you and I were looking at the stars together. I was leaning on your shoulder and you were covering me with your arm. The day you left and I'm alone on the balcony of your old room. Sitting alone, looking at the stars, still thinking about you and in my imagination, holding you by my side. But then I open my eyes and see that now I am alone. I think I never took advantage of being by your side, I always said things that perhaps hurt you and I didn't understand those expressions of pain that you made for a moment. Now I do the same thing you felt before. I was your first love and yet I let you go because of something stupid. This is a stupid love story. Days have passed. I've seen you from afar. You used to come to the club right away and now we only see you from afar. Waiting for you to come back like you used to. I've noticed the changes in the other girls. When you were at home Akeno had that radiant smile and now it's just empty and sad looks that she puts. Asia prayed every night and now her prayers have decreased according to the number of days since you were gone. Kaneko goes out every night. When I see her come back, she has a depressed and sad expression. Irina rarely comes here and spends time with us, but not anymore. Her smile has disappeared. Ravel returned to his family. Ross isn't as strict as she used to be. I think it was too much for her. Well, I noticed she has dark circles under her eyes and now she's started covering them up with makeup. You could say she looks better than ever, but that just became her mask to keep you from seeing how sad she is now. Xenovia gave up on that dream of having a strong son. Now I only see her wheel Durandal rarely. And now I look at the stars alone. Making a simple wish that I know will never come true. And that's it. Because my soulmate is somewhere else, sharing memories with people who aren't us. You were my compass. I don't know what else I can do. My heart is filled with eternal pain. I thought you could have been a friend, an ally I could always count on, a little brother I pampered. But I see that wasn't it. I saw you as more than just a sweetheart. I saw you as a grown man. When I finally realized it, it was too late for me. You were my forever. You were my compass. You were my light. I longed for days when we all used to gather at the club. I was reviewing documents. The Keno was serving us tea. Irina, Asia and Xenovia were talking like every other day. Kaneko was sitting and eating her sweets. Ravel would arrive and then go fight with Kaneko. Rossweisse would come to separate them. Tiba and Gasper would laugh and see the atmosphere. And finally. Issei you walked through the door. You looked around. You smiled and said. Tadema. We all saw you arrive and greeted you with a smile. But now. This place isn't like it used to be. Today silence floods. Just like the first day I saw you. Now I'm the one who sees you and waits for you to come see us one day like it always was before. It's very difficult for me. I know I'm pathetic for feeling this way. But. This shouldn't have ended yet. We had to make beautiful memories together. But now, from this very window, I see you walking with those girls. I don't know what your relationship is. I doubt it's just a student-student relationship because that would only be a lie. And how do I know? Because I see it in their eyes and I see it more specifically in you. They love you, they admire you, and what's even worse, you love them back. That smile and that strange, nervous behavior was the same one you showed me in the past. When you used to love me. When you said I was your first love, I wanted to hold you. I wanted to kiss you. I wanted to say the things I never said to you. I wanted to say I love you. But a lump in your throat prevented it. You gathered your things and said goodbye. That was the longest and saddest moment of my entire life. The girls heard everything from the doorway. When you left, something changed in the atmosphere. Everyone felt sad. They looked out the window. Their reflection, for the last time in this house, was what brought it down. I now believe there are no bad decisions. Only actions that result in good or bad consequences, and therefore we must live with those consequences forever. I don't know if I have a chance. But I'll still wait for you. If the world dies. I just want to be by your side. You once said you'd kill God for me. Now it's my turn. I'd face the whole world for you. Because you're my soulmate. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.